Journalists showed up at the Voice of America this Sunday just gone to broadcast their programmes, only to be told they'd been locked out. Federal officials had embarked on a controversial and indefinite round of mass suspensions. I try to stay away from specific political events on this channel, but when it comes to radio, this one I feel is quite relevant. Overnight on Saturday the 15th into Sunday the 16th of March 2025, some of Voice of America's local language radio stations stopped broadcasting news reports and switched over to music automation to fill the airtime. This comes after Donald Trump's move to stop financing US-funded media, including Voice of America and Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty. Voice of America was founded in 1942 to counter Nazi propaganda and today reaches 360 million people a week. As a group, USAGM employs roughly 3,500 workers, with an $886 million budget in 2024, according to its latest report to Congress. Now, what is being labelled as a Cold War relic, Trump has ordered the government-funded agency to be scaled back for being, quote, radical and anti-Trump. On Friday the 14th, he signed an executive order to reduce to the minimum the functions of several agencies, including the United States Agency for Global Media, or USAGM, which oversees media including Voice of America, Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, Office of Cuba Broadcasting, Radio Free Asia, and Middle East Broadcasting Networks. USAGM has also terminated its grants to Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, which was set up during the Cold War, and continues to broadcast to countries in Eastern Europe, including Russia and Ukraine. Radio Free Asia, which broadcasts to China and North Korea, was also targeted in the order. A White House statement said the order will ensure taxpayers are no longer on the hook for radical propaganda. On Saturday the 15th, journalists from Voice of America, Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty and other US-funded media outlets were put on leave or otherwise told to stop work. The 1,300 Voice of America employees were informed on the decision via email. The email included a link to a report alleging that Voice of America reporters had posted anti-Trump content on social media. Voice of America's director, Michael Abramowitz, said on Saturday, "I am deeply saddened that, for the first time in 83 years, the storied Voice of America is being silenced." He said nearly his entire staff of journalists, producers and assistants had been suspended, crippling the broadcaster that operates in almost 50 languages. Abramowitz said that the order left VOA unable to carry out its vital mission, especially critical today, when America's adversaries like Iran, China and Russia are sinking billions of dollars into creating false narratives to discredit the United States. The National Press Club, a leading representative group for US journalists, said the order undermines America's long-standing commitment to a free and independent press. It added, if an entire newsroom can be sidelined overnight, what does that say about the state of press freedom? An entire institution is being dismantled piece by piece. This isn't just a staffing decision, it's a fundamental shift that endangers the future of independent journalism at VOA. However, Carrie Lake, a former news anchor nominated by Donald Trump to be the director of Voice of America, issued a statement describing USAGM as a giant rot and burden to the American taxpayer and said it was not salvageable. There's been quite a reaction across the world too. Stephen Capus, president and CEO of Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty, said, "The Iranian Ayatollahs, Chinese communist leaders, and autocrats in Moscow and Minsk would celebrate the demise of RFE-RL after 75 years. Handing our adversaries a win would make them stronger and America weaker." VOA and RFE-RL are designated as undesirable foreign organizations by Russia. Experts have warned that Donald Trump's directives could devastate an organization that's intended to be a source of reliable news in authoritarian countries. Jan Lipavsky, the Czech foreign minister, said Radio Free Europe had been a beacon for populations under totalitarian rule. From Belarus to Iran, from Russia to Afghanistan, RFE and Voice of America are among the few free sources for people living without freedom. Beifang, Radio Free Asia's president, said the cancellation of its funding was a reward to dictators and despots, including the Chinese Communist Party, who would like nothing better than to have their influence go unchecked. So, as it stands, these networks are crippled. What do you think the next step will be? Will broadcasters like VOA and RFE-RL cease to exist in their current form? More importantly, and perhaps more fitting with this channel, do you think their transmitters will be switched off anytime soon? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.